What's up, guys? So the second part of this interview is not as bad as the first. I basically think this interview with Piers Morgan was basically like a PR for Priscilla, it seemed, because he didn't ask her any hard questions. He basically agreed with her on everything and just boosted her ego, you know, just built her up the whole time. Nothing wrong with that. But there were plenty of things he could have said. This second part of this interview, I just edited down a few points that I'd like to talk about, give my reviews and comments and criticisms, critiques. One thing I did notice is that Priscilla, I believe, did mention that Lisa was at Graceland at the time of Elvis's death. So that may have been a bit misinterpreted. But look at these little clips here, and I'll get back to you at the end of this video.
Because my feelings are great. I mean, that's, you know, what I want and wanted.
You'd like to be buried next to Elvis?
Yes.
And that will happen?
Yes.
I think people would like that.
At least right now.
Well, no.
I think that comment right there really proves Priscilla's ego. Why do you think you deserve to be buried next to Elvis? You guys divorced. Who are we going to push out of the way? Vernon, his dad, or Minnie Mae, his grandma? Why do you think you should be buried there? Why don't you think you should be buried, you know, with your own family somewhere else, or in a plot, you know, in a different state or something? Like, why are you going to be buried next to Elvis? Because you want to be remembered as part of the story. Why don't you want to be buried by, like, your mom or dad or brothers or sisters? Like, why next to Elvis? I mean, why don't we have Colonel Parker there while we're at it?
All, you turned Graceland. It was losing money. It was basically going out of business. You turned it almost single-handedly, actually. I mean, you had help, but it was your driving force that's turned it into a $100 million a year business. I mean, it was an amazing achievement that you did there.
I know, I sometimes look back at how in the world did I do this?
How did you do it? Elvis would be proud of you.
I just rolled up my sleeves.
Colonel Parker would be proud of you.
Yeah, I just rolled up my sleeves and it said it has to be done.
Now, there are some conflicting reports as to Priscilla not actually being the one that had the bright idea to open Graceland. This topic's a little harder to study. I can't really find any info on it. Everything I see basically just says that Priscilla was the one, the mastermind behind it. Somebody actually sent me a comment on one of the videos that I posted in my Instagram story, and there was a totally different story. I couldn't study it, like I said, because it's really hard to find the details of what was going on right then and there other than what has been released to the press and what Priscilla said. So I'll have to leave that there. But, you know, really, how hard could it be to sell Elvis to Elvis fans? I mean, that's like, you know, you go up to a fence and you feed all these, you know, farm animals. Like, whoa, how did you do it? Well, you know, the animals were hungry, so I fed them. Like, how brilliant do you have to be to open up Graceland to tourists? You know, I'm not hating on her just to hate. I mean, I do give her credit because she was the one, you know, really driving this. So I do give her credit for that. I'm not, you know, I give her credit for that. But I mean, how hard is that really? And, you know, in this interview, she acts like, well, you know, we are just not going to close it because I love this man. I think legacy had a tiny bit to do with it, but also I don't think she's dumb. She realized if she's the one behind this, she's going to make a lot of money. So I do give her credit for that, but let's not act like, you know, she's the savior of the Elvis world.
You know, in the movie that Sophia did, in which he was angry, you know, with Colonel Parker. And, you know, yes, he was angry, and yes, he threw the chair or whatever, but he would, when he was angry, he would go, especially with Colonel Parker, he would go into that moment, you know, because he just felt that Colonel was, you know, Colonel was really deceiving him in many ways, that he wasn't giving him what he wanted, and yet he would talk behind his back, let's say, to the whoever was doing the albums or whatever.
So a lot of this interview was sort of like damage control, you know, for the movie, for Priscilla taking Riley to court. They had it as like, you know, Lisa just changed the will and I didn't know, so that's all. I just wanted to go to court to see what was going on. rather than a wrestling battle over what Priscilla's going to get. And she wants in on this and don't cut me out. I know my daughter just died and your mom just died, but we're having a legal battle over my stake in this. It was more like, oh, no, nothing to see here. Very whitewashed. So this was sort of like a PR thing, I believe, for Priscilla. No, I didn't see the movie yet, and I'm not going to see the movie as long as I have to pay for it, because I'm not going to contribute to it. But some of my friends who have actually gone and seen it says Elvis does come off as abusive. And don't forget the NPR review, which says Elvis was not great towards her. So, it's based on her book, Elvis and Me. But the reason why I added this clip was because I do like how Priscilla talks about Elvis being angry with Parker. Because, it answers the question that a lot of non-Elvis fans kind of have, like, why did he do all these stupid movies and what happened to his career? And, it answers some of those questions, and it shows that Elvis was angry with Parker, and this was not really all to blame on Elvis, that he had a crooked manager. So I'm happy to hear the truth being put out.
On about Ben and how she is still grieving. And this was a couple of months before.
She was feeling almost suicidal herself.
I think so. She was almost like, she wanted to go earlier, but the twins were still young. Or too young, let's put it that way. So, twins were what, 13?
It's so sad.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So this one was particularly sad to hear about this. I do like that Piers brought up some interesting info that we've been wanting to hear about. Lisa, it seems like Priscilla was saying that Lisa seriously contemplated suicide 2 times. That's so sad to hear. We all love Priscilla. We all love Lisa. Being the daughter of the king, the greatest of all time. So we have a lot of love for her, just for who she is. It's sad that I'm sure she sought help at times, but major people in her life died, and I think that, like her dad in some ways, she wasn't prepared for the spotlight. And she had to deal with major tragedy in the limelight. Now, to us, we're thinking, oh, she's not in the limelight, I don't see her. But in her world, she processed that different. So it is sad to hear about those, kind of revelations. But going with that, Priscilla did mention that the marriage with Michael Jackson and Lisa, she didn't approve of, and that Michael Jackson seemed very timid and shy of her. Priscilla also says that she believes that Michael Jackson wanted to be married to Lisa just because he had an infatuation with Elvis. He looked up and idolized Elvis. And I think that Michael Jackson feared Elvis in the sense that I think he knew that he could never outshine Elvis in America. But Priscilla talks about how Michael Jackson never took the time to get to know her.
Wow. I'm going to cry again. Yeah.
How does that make you?
And guys, I hate to bring this one up, but one of the revelations from the second part of this video is they finally showed her on camera smiling and laughing. I noticed they would always cut away. But Priscilla's had a lot of work done to her face. And sometimes I wonder with these people who are aging, why don't you just just do some moderate enhancements, but let age take its course with you guys, You don't always have to try to hide it, because when you try to hide it, it's kind of like you're creating more of a problem. I mean, I think it'd be better to age gracefully, than just pretend like you're not aging at all. But that being said, it's not all Priscilla's fault. I looked into it, and you know what? She's actually the victim of an unlicensed doctor. I guess she was getting some work done from a nurse who was not even allowed to do these type of procedures. And what happened was the nurse actually injected her with industrial-grade silicone in her face, and it messed it up. She tried to get it fixed, but it didn't really work. So I do feel, some sympathy for her. And, not hating on people who have the money to do all that work, but, sometimes I think we can admit it goes too far. All right, guys, so those are my comments and criticisms about this. It's a shorter video than the first. Tell me in the comments, like always, whether you think I'm right or wrong. And as far as her opening Graceland and just being the savior of the Elvis community that we should all remember and just be so thankful for, I you know, I do thank Priscilla for it, but I think somebody else could have done it. It wasn't like, wow, how'd you invent this cure for whatever, you know? So I don't take that away from her, and I can't also say that she didn't do it, because I don't have enough evidence to say that she doesn't. But, you know, if in the comments, if you guys know something that I don't know, if I missed something, you guys have some info, because I know people before said, Priscilla, that wasn't her idea, and then they gave their comments, but I couldn't go back and find them. I looked. I also, you know, searched a bit online to see if I could. He's not supposed to be in my video. I also searched to see if I could find anything else. I can't really find anything on the internet unless I come across some type of book or something. So if you happen to see anything, let me know in the comments. I will pin it. And but you know, like I said, this isn't, I mean, I do critique a lot of what she says just because it's a bit annoying. Like I listed in this video and the video before, but I don't hate Priscilla. Just gets on my nerves a little bit, like Colonel Parker. So hope you've enjoyed these 2 series of videos. We'll see what comes out in the future as far as news like this. Talk to me in the comments.